Beginning readers use picture books to give meaning to the words they read on the page. Young students have limited background knowledge. City kids might not know what a cow looks like, just like country kids may not know what a taxi looks like. Digital stories allow an author to bring the words on the page to life, giving a reader extra information so they can understand and appreciate every element of the story. This is the digital story of photography and my life. A 4-H project I took in middle school began my interest in serious photography. I spent about 7 months that year learning about setting up a shot, the rule of thirds, the effect of flash on photos, and other specific skills. It was then I realized I could tell great stories using photos, and I wanted to learn more. Like most teens, friends were the center of my universe, and I took photos of every trip, gathering, and everything else that seemed photo-worthy. Thanks to my parents, I was able to preserve all of these memories on film, which was sometimes expensive to develop in print. When digital photography became popular, I jumped on the bandwagon. My first digital camera was laughable compared to what you can purchase now, but my friends and I had a lot of fun with that camera during my freshman year of college at WVU. The photos weren't that great, but we did have to pay to print any of the images. Thanks to digital photography, I could experiment with the limits of my photography equipment without wasting expensive film and paying for expensive developing. A year or so after I landed my first real job teaching in Las Vegas, I was able to afford a fancy camera. For almost 4 years now, I have recorded what seems like every minute detail. If I was going to spend that much money on something, I was certainly going to use every feature it offered. The Martin Luther King Jr. Parade in downtown Vegas was one of the first of many photo adventures. Feet marching in unison on hot pavement, colorful reflections of a monotone statue, an important message held by an otherwise common Las Vegas resident. I began looking at my world with artistic vision. I started telling stories of all the people, places, and events that were in my life, one detail at a time. Early Sunday mornings are my favorite time to explore the Strip. Empty streets, casinos, empty sidewalks. I found gardens I never knew existed. I learned about manual exposure inside the Paris casino, and I made bronze statues come to life in the sun. I am a writer and a photographer, and through my photos and long-winded blog posts, I was able to tell my family, who lived 3,000 miles away on the East Coast, vivid and interesting stories of my West Coast adventures. It wasn't just the words, it wasn't just the pictures, it was the digital story that made it all worth reading. Now that I have a family of my own, I take pictures, fancy camera or iPhone, almost every day. Morgan and Zoe are cooperative subjects and usually ignore the camera, but they've both shown an interest in photography and love using Mommy's big camera. So it all started with Morgan's little toes, and her little fingers, sweet moments, icky ones too, first steps, fun days, feet days, snow days, and sliding days. Then Zoe came along and I told her story too. Little fingers, little toes, sweet moments, and messy ones too. Scarf days, chubby cheek days, sister days, strange days, and superstar days. But it's not just about the kids. My husband Danny and I enjoy traveling, and we include photo adventures on every trip we take. Hovadder Zoo, the downtown Boston Beanery in Morgantown, Buffalo, New York, Toronto, Canada, Mountaineer Football, Niagara Falls, Pittsburgh, Gatlinburg, Tennessee, Cathedral State Park, and our hometown of Middleburn. I love reading and writing and the way words come together to tell a story. Adding photos to a personal narrative I keep in my blog and personal journal revives and just makes those memories that have faded into a vibrant story of my life.